Hello and welcome. Thanks so much for joining us. It's Kylie Smiley here from the Mobile Marketing Link. So happy to have you with us. Apologies for the little bit of a delay. We are live. We've had a few technical issues and we're all set now. So during this live event, you may notice there's a little bit of a delay between what you hear and how you see my lips move, but we are hooked up live online on Google Plus, and we're using Hangouts. So sometimes there is a little bit of a delay because we're totally reliant on the internet, but other than that, we're all set to go. So today we're going to be chatting with a fantastic man who's been in the business world for over 35 years. His name is Julian Campbell, and Julian resides here in the Hunter Valley, just as I do. Julian has over 35 years of practical hands-on experience as a senior executive, business owner, mentor and consultant across dozens of industries. Julian has been instrumental in numerous organisational and cultural changes, transformed the lives and businesses of a multitude of people through his great ability to foster change through the law of attraction, his caring attitude, vision focus and bottom-line realism. Julian is a sought-after professional speaker and published author, as well as a popular radio host. And I've had the pleasure of being interviewed by Julian on radio on 2NUR, which was terrific and a great opportunity to speak to the broader audience. And Julian's been doing the radio program, I understand, for about 14 years. And without further ado, I will bring him across. Julian, welcome to the program. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hello, thank you very much for having me along.
You're welcome. So, Julian, I was just explaining to those that are watching that you've been in radio, you've been in business, you've been in radio for 14 years, and I'd really like to know what have you been up to lately, and what's your latest project?
Well, probably my latest project is working with a number of the business enterprise centres on the Digital Enterprise Program, which is a government-sponsored program to help small businesses to have an online presence.
Fantastic. Excellent. So in doing that and being across those businesses, you must come across a lot of business owners who have some challenges. You know, they often agonize over getting more customers and how they do it. Do you believe that there is now a simple process in acquiring more customers?
Well, I think the process is simple and basic. In fact, it's common sense. But the problem is that small businesses get so caught up in the day-to-day processes, and then they start to panic a little bit when sales are down. But really, I think there are 5 secrets to successful business, and they're obvious, but they're not always addressed. And the first one is, it's not really what you know, it's who you know. You can never know enough people. There are just so many people out there, and really statistics tell us that about 86% of all businesses will come from referral, which means that you really got to know people to get more customers. Secondly, it's not how good you are, but how well you are perceived. And so it's not the best painter that gets all the work and all the money. It's the one that's perceived as the best. It's not the best speaker. It's not the best you put in the dots. It's the ones that are perceived as the best. And thirdly, and I think this is the big one, why are you unique and different? I don't think enough businesses address their uniqueness and why they are different. And then fourthly, how many people are talking about you and what are they saying? And finally, how do you solve my problems, and are you really showing me? And I think all of us have the solution to people's problems, but we don't always tell people how that solution applies to them. We assume that they know. And I think we can go back to basics and just tell people exactly how we're going to solve their problems.
Absolutely. Look, they're fantastic points, and I couldn't agree with you more, Julian. I've just written a few of those down because we could have a whole program on those alone, I'm sure.
We could,
but
yeah.
and we possibly will in the future. But just touching on those again, just lightly, who it's so important to network. I really enjoy networking. I know some people are a little shy and they get a little concerned sometimes about networking, but you are essentially the face of your business, and I truly believe that by getting out there, by exposing yourself to different people, meeting different people, it helps you break through that barrier of, hiding behind the scenes as well, which is easy for us to do in many ways, especially if a lot of your business is. It's not front of house, so you have staff that do the front of house. Certainly, being able to get yourself to networking events locally and abroad, or even online, just like we're doing, is it's a great way to expand your business and to get the word out properly. Because often the business owner is the one that truly has the passion, they truly understand their business, and they truly understand how to service their customers. So I think that's a brilliant point. And the next point you said about perception, that sort of leads into that as well, is that if you don't get out there exposing yourself and letting people know, who you are, what you do, it's left to the gods, pretty much. It's left to whatever they see online. Your reviews often can be a telling sign. And, a lot of people are living and dying by their reviews at the moment. That can be a bit of a scary prospect, and we can talk about reviews a little later. Also, you've hit the nail on the head here. Why are you different? So many people think, oh, well, I need to do what so-and-so is doing because they seem to be doing really well. In actual fact, and, I don't know if you agree with this, Julian, but I believe in trying to do things that are the opposite to others. And trying different things to capture your audience, and understanding your audience is really what you need to have in place first. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I think that's exactly the right points. In fact, just because we now have digital marketing, which is now on the scene, doesn't mean to say the basics of marketing have changed in any way. The basics are still exactly the same. It's understanding, as you said, your target market. It's really knowing who your target market is and their lifestyles, basically. What media do they watch or listen to or read? Or if you really understand that, then you can be focused on the right area of what media you should be considering. And networking, I've always found networking very powerful over the years, and I think just because we now have social networking doesn't mean to say, or social online networking, we should still be doing the offline networking as well.
Exactly. No, that's right. And that leads us then into, I guess, looking at the new era of digital marketing and mobile marketing. I guess, a lot of business owners are like, look, I've just grasped Facebook. I feel like I have to learn all these new things. Do you think, Julian, do you think that those skills in social media are imperative? Is there particular things that you think business owners really need to get skilled on? Do they need to get skilled on them at all with the age of outsourcing as well, and certainly educating our staff? And when we have staff that might be Gen Y or that a little younger than some business owners, they embrace technology quite well. So what are your thoughts there?
Well, I think it's good to have the skills. We've just found out that this morning with technology and how challenging it can be, but you've got to know how to do things. I think I was sitting down with a woman the other week about building a website, and she didn't even know how to use Word. So we had to start from basics and teach her a bit about Word so she could build a website. But I think it's good to learn some of those skills, because in the past, websites particularly were very expensive, and you handed them to professionals these days quite a professional-looking website for almost nothing, just a bit of your time. So I think there's skills you should learn, but by the same token, I think you've got to remember not to forget the basic rules of marketing, which is we used to use an old formula which still applies today: the attention, interest, desire, action. And whether you're building a website, whether you're writing a newspaper article, whether you're putting a brochure together, whether you're even writing a letter or an email, you still got to grab people's attention first of all, develop interest and desire in what you're saying, and then have a call to action at the end of it. And I think if you still follow that principle, and the same principle, as I say, applies to websites, to social media, to mobile marketing that you get involved in, or even just your business card.
No, I totally agree. I think that's keeping those fundamentals and remembering those fundamentals is key to also not getting distracted. As we live in a world now where there are shiny objects everywhere, and as soon as we turn on the computer, there's reason to look here, there, and everywhere. And if we don't focus on those fundamentals, nothing really gets achieved. And certainly being able to capture people's attention within the first few seconds of any media is priority. With the right message, of course, it really has to reach out and grab that target market where they're hurting, like if they're to solve a problem. And if you're not providing value, people's attention is so short these days that you've got seconds to make an impression, and if you don't satisfy them, they're gone. So, not to put some fear into anybody, but that's the plain fact. And keeping those fundamentals, as Julian, as you mentioned, that they're key to that. Then it's really learning how to drill down and speak the language of your customer and understanding all those intricacies that go into it to make sure your message is right. So in saying that, with businesses looking to acquire more customers using the digital landscape, how are you finding, or what are you finding is working well, Julian?
Well, look, the sad statistics are that only 50% of small businesses have a website. These days, I don't think any business, no matter what sort of business it is, can afford not to have a website, even if it's only a 1 or 2 page presence. So first of all, the important thing is to have that website presence. But then we have people that stick up their website and say, well, where's all my customers? Nobody is coming to me. It can take up to 6 months to get up in Google for a starter. So, just because you put a website up today doesn't mean to say it's going to work tomorrow. So we've got to have the combination of all of the social media and internet presence to get results. So it's a combination of online stuff and offline stuff. I mean, again, it's amazing how many people still don't put their business or their website on their business cards or on their motor vehicles. We've got to drive people to that website, and then we've got to be consistent with it. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice.
You're right. Absolutely.
Consistency is an importance, which means that we shouldn't be using too many of those channels. We should be focused on just a few.
Right, and I guess that comes back down to, again, understanding where your target market live. Where are they? Where are they hanging out? If they're all hanging out in Facebook and there's nobody in that uses Twitter in your target market, then the obvious choice is go to Facebook. That's where you do your ads. That's where you talk to your target market, provide them with solutions to their problems, and all of a sudden you'll see that directive move. They'll catch your message and then they'll move through to your Facebook page, given that that's where you're sending them to, or to another social media, and could be a YouTube video, could be a webinar, could be anything. So as long as it's understanding where that target market really play? Where do they hang out? Where do they like to communicate with each other? Where do they like to get advice? Also, someone, a mentor of mine mentioned to me, brought light to me about customers understanding exactly, what their pain is. Really try and find out. So through surveys, asking questions, looking at, where they're spending money now is a big one as well. What are they buying and why? So, Julian, I know you've come across many businesses that you've worked closely with that use different digital media to promote their business. Can you provide any examples of what's worked, or a case study of what's worked well?
Yeah, yes, I can. And I just want to pick up on that point you made about pain. People
Sure.
buy for pleasure or pain. Anthony Robbins said that many years ago, and we all have the solution to people's problems. What we've got to do, particularly with the internet these days, is be seen as an expert. You are an expert in the field, whatever that field is, and the combination of what you do online, first of all, as you say, understand what your target market is and whether they're on Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter. What are they using? So many people say to me, which one should I use? Well, a lot of people when they first go onto the internet start going, well, I've got a website, and now I'm on LinkedIn, and now I'm on Facebook, and now I'm on Twitter, and now I'm on Pinterest, and it's taking all my time. Well, you've really got to go to 2 or 3 of them. And I think the big thing that we found really is the website is, as I said, the centre of your universe on the internet. Blogging is a very powerful tool for getting people to that website, no matter what business that you're in, because that's where you're perceived to be the expert. But then you use some of those social media to drive people to the blog, to the website. So a good example of that is my wife's business, which is a tie-dye business, which started off as a little hobby business selling tie-dye t-shirts, and now sells tie-dye kits to the market of people who want to do their own. And then recently that's moved into selling to the ushis, the out-of-hours school care people who are doing workshops for their children, and that's become big kits. And really that all came about through social media, through Facebook. A particular person was following them on Facebook for some months, and that sort of built the trust up, and then suddenly placed a very big order with them, which really allowed the business to start to move into whole new areas that we hadn't even thought about.
Wow.
So that's a classic example of how the internet, or particularly social media, has worked. And today their daily sales are probably what their monthly sales were 18 months ago. In my own business, LinkedIn works better than Facebook. Although I have a Facebook page, I really don't pay much attention to it because LinkedIn is more my target market, and blogging and newsletters. Yeah,
definitely. No, I agree, and I think you make a really valid point. It doesn't matter what you're doing in business. It's all about your audience. It's all about where they are, what they're doing, what they need. And it's not about just selling to them. It's about providing them with high value and tools and information that they can use to better themselves and their business. Both yourself and I, Julia, we both assist businesses to help them, with their cash flow, with their day-to-day operations, and understanding how they can market their business better so that they can get out and have a holiday and do the things that they want to do. That's my passion, actually, is to make sure that that I can assist as many businesses as I can, so that business owners can take a break. Because I just see so many business owners working in their business, especially in the hospitality and retail areas, that they work so hard, and they're working long hours, and then they go home and then they keep working, and it's a terrible toll on them, on themselves you know, personally with their families, and certainly the growth of their business. It's all affected. So any way that we can help small businesses gain a few more hours or get a bit more cash flow so that they can get someone else in to do the things that they're doing in their business and replace them, then all the better, all the better. And I'm sure you feel the same way, Julian.
Well, that's the reason I wrote my book about 3 or 4 years ago, called "Stop the Wheel, I Want to Get Off." Most people feel that they're trapped in that wheel, and how do we get out? You know, how do we get out of the rat race of the day-to-day processes and have a life? And unfortunately, a lot of people go into business in the first place to create more for their personal life, but they end up with the business running them instead of them running their businesses.
True, very true. And just finally, Julian, about coming back to digital marketing, but also about looking at mobile marketing within that digital space. I know that you know, a lot of people say to me, "Oh, do you, you know, you must do social media." Well, I do, but I'm focused on really grabbing the attention of their target audience wherever they are through their mobile device. And that can mean sometimes social media, but often it means a more interruptive media like SMS marketing and text message marketing. So I had a lady ask me yesterday, she said, "Oh, what do you mean by SMS marketing?" And it's easy to get caught up in the jargon when you know what you're referring to. And this is a classic case of the audience not really understanding as well what you might mean precisely, because it's still, funny enough, it still is a relatively new media to use from a small business's point of view. They are, you know, certainly in the hairdressing and beauty trades, they've been using appointment reminders via text message for some time now, but marketing is still another thing. There's a few that do it, but it's still something that's just catching on because people are concerned about spamming and things like that, which is understandable, but certainly done the right way can work well. So my question to you, Julian, is where do you see mobile going and the mobile world going as far as mobile devices and their relationship to business and business being done?
Well, it's shown that 60% of people today use their mobile device for connecting with the internet. And from our own experience, most people particularly use their iPads between about 6 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock at night when they're watching TV on the one hand, and the ads come on and they switch over to their mobile devices. So from our own business point of view, that's an ideal time for us to be doing social media marketing. Mobile devices, I think, are going to get bigger and bigger in terms of their presence. But it gets back to, I think, the initial point that we made, and that is understanding your customers. I mean, you made 2 points there. You used the word SMS and assume everybody knows it, but there are people that don't. We have to get back to showing people how we can help them, how we can solve their problem, why we are different, and mobile marketing has its place. People who don't like it, so we've got to be, again, careful of our target market and say, is it appropriate for the people that we are dealing with?
Right. Absolutely. That's great. No, I agree. And there's compelling reason to do many things as far as digital marketing is concerned and mobile marketing. And it's all back to satisfying the need of the customer and making sure that we're not bombarding them and encroaching in their privacy, and making sure that we're getting permission up front and that absolute permission and certainty that they can opt out at any time or come and go as they please. And this is where it really differs from a number of years ago. It was always one-way marketing back in the day, whereas you had your marketing through your television, through radio, through print, and it was all pretty much one way. Now it's two-way, and the expectations of customers is that, look, you should be asking me, you should be having a conversation with me about what I like, what I don't, and if you don't do that, I'm sorry, you don't want to get to know me, so I don't really want to patronize your business. And they're just leaving in droves, and many businesses are, those businesses that are folding, I'm noticing a trend. They're the ones that we build it and they will come mentality, and unfortunately, unless you have a business in a highly dense tourist location where you've got constant herds of people coming by you, it really, and they have a thirst or a need for something that you only supply, then it's really an uphill battle. You're not going to survive, quite frankly, from my point of view, if you don't embrace those medians and the things that your clients really they love to communicate with. So it's a two-way street, and it's just like treating every customer as an individual rather than a group as well. I find now we're back to the one-to-one relationship, just like my parents probably had experience with when they were children, where you go to the corner store and you know the owner's name, and you know the people around you, you know who they are, where they live, all those sorts of things. And it seems to be doing a little bit of a full circle in a way, but in a virtual way, you could say. And that's the experience that everybody wants now. So Julian, we'll leave. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, a good example of that is we used to have fruit and veggies and milk and things delivered to our homes. Then along came the supermarket and they all disappeared, and now we're getting it all back again. Yes,
I know. I even noticed a milkman's business has started up, I think, in Queensland, and that just made me laugh, because my father was a milkman, which also gets a lot of giggles from people usually, being the daughter of the milkman. But to see that come back is amazing. But it's also like, you know what, that makes sense. Everyone's really time poor. Everybody wants things delivered, whether they're home or not. I mean, the difference is now that most of the time we're not home when things get delivered, but they want it now. And this is the thing; it's gone full circle, where convenience and flexibility and mobility is the way to go. And I just think that'll continue on for quite a long time, unless something bizarre happens. But I really see that as a growing market, and this is where service providers like gardeners, cleaners, those sorts of service industries are growing astronomically, and you see them popping up all the time because the need is there. People they don't want to do those things because they've got only a certain amount of time with their children, with whatever they're doing. They want to focus on that instead. So interesting world we live in, Julian. So, Julian, look, thanks so much for joining me. I really appreciate it, and for your unbelievable patience in getting this together this morning with our little technology issue. But we've solved that. That's another tick in the box. I'd like to know what you'd like to leave us with. What message would you like to give to the people that are listening, and possibly where can they go to find out more about you and how you might be able to help them in the future?
Well, of course, they can find about me on www.catalystforgrowth.com.au, or listen to my radio show on Thursdays at 1 o'clock on 2NURFM. But I think the other important thing is we're trying to get more and more businesses online, especially the older generation who are still fearful of social media. The Digital Enterprise Program is funded by the government. It's around at least for another 6 months. I train it up here in Newcastle and the Hunter, so switchedonhunter.com.au is their website, and I'm also training it down in Sydney at Auburn every Saturday. So if you've got some people listening in down in the Sydney area, by all means come along on a Saturday morning at 10 o'clock in Auburn Library, and we have a great workshop going there.
Fantastic. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure those that are watching really appreciate it as well. You have a wealth of knowledge and experience that can't be ignored at all or really replaced. It's invaluable, and certainly I encourage everybody to, chat with people who have been in the industry or been in your marketplace for a longer than you have. They have an insight that is it really is invaluable, and certainly there's no age barrier because it's really about experience and life experience that can assist you not make errors, or maybe even divert from and avoid some pitfalls that they might have experienced as well. So Julian, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much, and I hope that you can join me again in the future. I'd love to hear more about what you're doing with the Switched On enterprise, and certainly helping businesses get online in the future. So thanks again.
Thank you, and we can talk about the penguin next time.
Oh, the penguin. Okay, that'd be great. Yes, I see that on your logo. I'm really curious. I'm not sure what that's all about, so we'll have to definitely come back and talk about that. All right, Julian, and thanks so much for coming along, and thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it. Hope you got some valuable information from what we shared today. And again, Julian can be found at Julian Campbell in LinkedIn. If you Google Julian Campbell, you'll find him Catalyst for Growth as well with his business, and also through the Hunter Business Network as well. So if you have any questions about what we've spoken about today, please feel free to email myself at Kylie at mobilemarketinglink.com.au. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel, and also certainly leave some comments about our interview today and the subjects that we spoke about. So that's it for now. Until next time, have a profitable week and live well and laugh lots. Bye for now.